Lieutenant Marcus Wren had one simple rule in life. Don't run toward danger unless there's free coffee waiting. But right now, the hallway in front of him had 12 red warning lights blinking like crazy. A loud alarm was making terrible noises. It sounded like someone was hurting a mechanical bird. Leave now. The station's computer voice was speaking. Sounded annoyed. Big problem in reactor area 3. Leave right away. Also, yelling won't help you survive. Marcus ran under some broken wires. His boot stepped in something wet that made hissing sounds. His safety suit closed up tight around him with a thump sound. But he could still smell the awful odor. Burned metal and cooling chemicals. It smelled like someone cooked a giant space animal. This is why I wanted extra pay, Marcus said quietly. He touched his arm computer. A shaky map of Athri Spire appeared in the air. Half of it was glowing orange color. Reactor Wing 3 is... Yeah, it's burning. Just perfect. He wasn't meant to be here today. The practice drill was supposed to be fake. A boring thing they did once every cycle where they pretended something bad happened. They checked all the safety rules. They acted like the station wouldn't really explode. Then something actually exploded. Marcus was on Deck 7 eating a bad protein bar and reading a boring book when the explosion happened. Now, 30 minutes later, he was walking through a braking station. His magnetic boots barely worked. His communication link was dying. And he checked his suit's health reader. Yes, 2 broken ribs. That happened when a big door tried to slam into his chest. He turned a corner and stopped fast. The hallway ahead had fallen apart. Twisted metal pieces stuck out everywhere. The station looked like it had a broken back. Through all the smoke and flashing lights, he saw movement. 3 small figures were hiding behind a fallen computer desk. Their long ears were shaking with fear. Thelarai children. Oh no, Marcus said quietly. Why are kids here? This place is for military research, not for babysitting. He walked toward them slowly. He put his hands up. He tried not to look scary or like someone who was hurt inside. Hey, he called out. His voice sounded strange through the mask. You shouldn't be here. He thought for a second. But actually, neither should I. The smallest child turned around. She had big purple eyes. Her skin had glowing lines on it that flashed quickly because she was scared. She looked almost human except for the ears. She was talking very fast in Thelarai language. His translator was working hard to understand her. Can't leave. Door is closed. Auntie told us to stay. We heard people screaming. Okay, speak slower, Marcus said. He got down on his knees. I won't hurt you. I'm Lieutenant Marcus Wren from Earth. You probably never heard of that place. It's a blue planet. It's noisy. The people there argue about putting pineapple on pizza. No one laughed. Tough crowd. He looked at the broken hallway. The emergency door had closed behind the children. His arm computer made a weak beeping sound. Dangerous radiation levels were going up. Reactor Wing 3 was too close. The automatic safety system wasn't working right. He tried typing in a special code. Nothing happened. To fix the override, he needed to reach a control panel. But that panel was buried under tons of metal and bad planning. The children started crying. One grabbed his leg. The tallest kid, maybe 9 years old, was trying hard not to look scared. He was failing. Okay, Marcus said. No way out. No emergency exits. The automatic safety system will blow up this hallway in 30 seconds to stop the radiation. He looked down at them. 3 kids. One very broken human. Nowhere to run. He pulled them close. Listen to me. I have this suit. You don't. So I'm going to wrap around you like a blanket. A sarcastic, probably doomed blanket. Don't argue. Just huddle together. They did what he said. He dropped to the ground. He put his arms around them. His back faced the blast area. The suit's protection would help. Not much, but maybe enough. "Computer," he called. "How big will the blast be?" 7 meters. The computer answered. "You are too close. What you should do: make peace with your gods." Marcus made a snorting sound. "Tell my gods they owe me a beer." The children held him tight. He heard one of them saying a Thelari prayer. He didn't understand the words, but he understood the feeling. Small, scared, determined. The countdown reached 0. Nothing happened. Then a dull boom sound. The hallway filled with bright, burning light. His visor went dark instantly to protect his eyes. But he still saw stars. Heat rolled over them like a giant wave. The suit's shields screamed in his ears as they broke. Then quiet. Marcus blinked once. Then twice. He was still alive. Mostly. Ow! He looked down. The children were still breathing. Their eyes were wide. They weren't hurt. Miracle. The hallway behind them had been erased. Only melted metal and fused floor remained. "Well," Marcus said with difficulty, "that wasn't too bad. Just a small sunburn. And maybe my organs turned to liquid." He fell against the wall. The suit pushed medicine into his neck. Pain medicine. Finally, emergency crews showed up 10 minutes later. They came through a side door carrying weapons and medical supplies. The children were taken away in special shimmering blankets. One child was still holding Marcus's arm. She looked back and said something in Thelari. The translator stuttered, then showed the words, "You're our guardian now." Marcus blinked. "Wait, what?" But they were gone. A medic leaned over him. She scanned his body. "You're lucky. The reactor's safety system failed completely. We're leaving the whole station. You shouldn't even be awake." "Not luck," Marcus said with effort. "Stubbornness. And questionable life choices." He passed out. When he woke up, he was in a cleaning pod. Blinking lights were all around him. It smelled like medicine and burnt toast. A man in a Black Earth Defense uniform stood over him. He was frowning like someone told him bad news. "You have a problem, Lieutenant." "I was promised pudding," Marcus said. "You're being called to the Thelari Royal Court." "For pudding?" The man's frown got deeper. "You triggered an ancient right by saving those children. The right of guardianship. I don't even have plants. I'm not even a morning person." The man sighed. "You're being honored, Marcus. Honored very publicly. This could mess up half our peace agreements." "So, no pudding?" "Worse," the man said. "The Queen is going to offer you the position of consort." Marcus stared at him, then said, "You're joking." "I never joke." Marcus groaned. "Oh stars, I hate politics." The man crossed his arms. "Good, because you're about to swim in royal politics, ancient history, and a species that doesn't even have a word for sarcasm." "Fantastic," Marcus said. "Do they at least have coffee?" The man didn't answer. Marcus let out his breath. "Great. I saved 3 alien kids and now I'm marrying a space queen. My mother is going to love this." Marcus Wren had seen some weird space arrival procedures before. One time he'd been scanned by something that was basically a living foghorn. But nothing prepared him for arriving at Valerio. First, the docking area was upside down. Where he was, the Thelari ship rotated its gravity in the middle of landing. His stomach tried to escape through his mouth. "Gravity change starting," said the calm computer voice as Marcus held onto a metal rail. "Please enjoy the feeling of your insides rearranging." "This is not enjoyment," Marcus said, waving his arms as his boots stuck to the floor again with magnets. 2 attendants stood nearby. They didn't care about physics or sarcasm. They both looked like typical Thelari. Tall, thin, long ears that looked like fancy antennae. Marcus started calling them mood ears because they seemed to move based on feelings. Right now, they were very still. "Is this normal?" he asked, brushing fake dust off his uniform. "Yes," one replied. "Valerio rotates at different angles. These adjustments stop you from getting sick when you land." "Great," Marcus said. "Wouldn't want to upset the local gravity spirits." No one laughed. Again, he stepped off the ship onto Valerio's surface. His boots sank slightly into a bioresponsive landing pad. It glowed green under his weight. The sky above had blue-white streaks like frozen lightning. Plants were making harmonic sounds. The wind seemed to shimmer with colors he suspected weren't entirely visible to human eyes. And somewhere far away, something screamed in what sounded like opera singing. It was beautiful and completely terrifying. A group of Thelori diplomats waited for him in a line. They all bowed at the same time, their ears tilted at polite angles. One of them came forward and held out a hand. "Lieutenant Run, I am Minister Vale of Cultural Rights. Welcome to Valerio." "Thanks," Marcus said, shaking the hand. "Beautiful place, slightly haunted. The air smells like a fruit drink." Vale blinked slowly. "We added scent to the air to calm your stress hormones." "Right," Marcus said. "Alien smell therapy. Very thoughtful. Smells like anxiety mixed with mango." He was taken to a waiting vehicle. It was a floating six-sided pod that vibrated and made a sound like a cat purring into a microphone. The seats molded to his shape. The walls became see-through, showing a full view of the capital as they flew over it. Below them, crystal towers glowed with internal light. Roads curved upward at right angles. Creatures flew without wings. And far away, at the edge of a huge spiral garden, stood the royal spire, impossibly tall, surrounded by floating stone blocks covered with what looked like musical notes. "So," Marcus said, "this guardianship right thing, is this like a thank you card situation? Or more of a you're now technically space royalty situation?" Vale did not smile. "You have fulfilled a sacred rule of our culture," the minister said. "To protect the royal bloodline with your own life is the heart of the Guardian's path. The right requires recognition from our highest leader." "Ah," Marcus replied. "So like a plaque? A certificate? A free drinks card?" Vale looked out the window. "You will be offered the consort's claim." "Right," Marcus said. Then he blinked. "Wait, the consort's claim. As in me marrying the queen." "It is not a marriage," Vale corrected. "It is a spiritual and diplomatic joining." "Spiritual diplomatic. Between me and the queen." "Yes. And if I say no?" "You would dishonor the right. The queen would be forced to apologize to the spirits of the ancestors. Political tensions would increase. Several ministers would faint dramatically." "I see," Marcus said. "So no pressure." They landed near the base of the spire. Dozens of officials lined the walkway. Each wore variations of glowing silk and living fiber. Marcus walked awkwardly past them. His earth-made boots squeaked on the stone. The royal hall was built from material that changed sound. His footsteps echoed like drums. At the far end of the room stood Queen Varthai. Marcus stopped walking. She wasn't what he expected. Tall, yes. Royal, certainly. But there was something strangely quiet about her. Her long ears had gold tips. Her robes shimmered like starlight. Her eyes were pale silver. They seemed to look through him rather than at him. She didn't move, not even to breathe. Marcus cleared his throat. "Hi!" The whole hall flinched. Queen Varthai tilted her head. "You speak first," she said. Her voice was soft but carried like thunder. "An unusual approach. I've been accused of worse," Marcus replied. A pause. Then, barely visible, her ears flicked back. Was that amusement? The rite binds me to honor your act of self-sacrifice, she said. Do you accept the designation of guardian? Marcus looked around. 100 officials stared at him like statues with strong opinions. I accept, he said. But just so we're clear, I didn't save those kids because of some rite or prophecy or whatever. I did it because they were there and I was there. And letting them die wasn't an option. Intent is less important than action, Vardai replied. Your body protected my family. The rite responds to action. He opened his mouth to make a joke about how his body was currently held together by painkillers and sarcasm. But he thought better of it. And the consort thing? He asked instead. Do you object? Marcus shrugged. I object to waking up before noon. This is a bit higher on the difficulty scale. Her eyes narrowed. You mock. Constantly, Marcus replied. It's how I handle space politics and the weight of unexpected royalty. A beat. Then her lips moved slightly. Not quite a smile. More like she was considering whether to smile. You may stay for now, she said. The rite must be witnessed by the council before formal binding. In the meantime, you will be given rooms. Do they have beds? Yes. Pillows? Many. Then I'm in. He bowed awkwardly. Too low. Not low enough. He wasn't sure. Half the council looked shocked. The other half looked entertained. As he turned to follow the escort, he muttered, Well, Marcus, you've done it again. Thrown into alien nobility. No escape route. Probably doomed. But hey, at least the pillows are nice. Behind him, Queen Vardai watched silently. Her ears twitched once in an unreadable rhythm. Marcus Wren woke up face first in a glowing cushion that tried to read his dreams. Good morning, guardian candidate, said a pleasant female voice that seemed to come from the bed frame. Your sleep patterns showed bad quality rest. May I suggest a calming mist for tonight? Marcus rolled over and squinted at the ceiling. It was displaying a hologram of a peaceful lake being ruined by ducks. No offense, he croaked. But if you try to drug me in my sleep again, I will file a complaint with your programming ancestors. Understood, the bed replied. Would you prefer passive neural massage instead? I'd prefer not waking up with 12 arms hugging me. Thanks. He got up, stretched, and took exactly 2 steps before bumping into a clear blue sphere that appeared in midair. Message from High Minister Liketh, said the sphere in a very formal tone. You are requested at the Hall of Reconciliation within the 3rd hour. Do not wear offensive colors. Do not speak of Earth hygiene practices. Do not make eye contact with the Chancellor's ears. Marcus blinked. Noted. Is orange offensive? The sphere flickered. Yes. Good. I hate orange. As the sphere vanished, his wardrobe slid open silently. It showed an intimidating collection of robes that looked like they'd been designed by a living chandelier. He poked through them until he found something that looked like a tunic and pants. They changed color when touched. They went through 5 shades of blue before settling on something the computer called respectful indigo. He stood in front of the mirror. The mirror showed him a version of himself 20 pounds lighter, 5 years younger, and with a smug smile. Fix the smug, Marcus said. The mirror obeyed. The Hall of Reconciliation turned out to be less hall and more circular room that judged you silently. High Minister Liketh waited inside with 7 other council members, all wearing serious faces. Lieutenant Wren, Liketh began. Your presence has created discussion among the elders. Marcus crossed his arms. Let me guess. Cultural rules say you can't give full access to some sacred vault without making sure the monkey man doesn't break the good china. There was silence. We do not call humans monkey men, Lyceth said carefully. You probably should. I've met most of us. You're not missing much. One of the junior ministers coughed nervously. Lyceth continued. There are those among the council who believe the rite, while binding, has been wrongly applied. That it is an ancient tradition not meant to include outsiders. Marcus tilted his head. So I'm what? A paperwork error with a pulse. An anomaly. Awesome. Haven't been called that since high school. Another minister stepped forward. She was younger and wore ceremonial glasses that projected faint equations into the air. We request your cooperation in undergoing rite harmony testing, she said. It is a series of tests. Nothing invasive. Just to confirm your compatibility with the ancestral psychic network. Wait, Marcus said. You want to test me with psychic ancestor magic? Yes. Will there be snacks? No. He sighed. Fine. But if I accidentally unlock some ancient weapon of doom, I'm not taking the blame. Unless it's shaped like a cat. Then I get naming rights. The testing chamber was less scary than expected. It looked like a library with extra dimensions. Floating discs hovered in midair. One of them had a tea set for no clear reason. Marcus sat in a reclining chair made of memory foam that adjusted to his body with a concerning amount of affection. Begin relaxation protocol, said a voice. Soft humming filled the room. Images flickered past. Mountains, oceans, spirals of light, a field of beings with long ears laughing around a fire. Then the light dimmed. A pulse ran through his mind. Not pain, not exactly. More like someone tapping on the inside of his skull with a feather dipped in electricity. Then a presence. Old, vast. Not a voice, but a feeling. You are not of us. Yeah, Marcus muttered. That's kind of the theme here. You shielded the young. Not by right, but by instinct. Seemed like the right thing to do. Would you do it again? Even now, knowing what you've become? Marcus hesitated. Every time. Silence. Then a warmth. Acknowledged. He woke up with his face in a bowl of fermented root paste. Standard reaction, said a Thelari technician, helping him up. Most off-worlders experience mild unconsciousness, psychic dislocation, and cravings for root-based carbohydrates. I was already craving carbs, Marcus muttered. So I guess I passed? Minister Vale appeared in the doorway. The test was successful. The vault responded to your presence. That's good, right? It is significant. She hesitated. There is concern among the elders. You are not simply compatible. You are synchronizing. Marcus blinked. With the vault? With your ancestors? He tried to look thoughtful and serious. Just to clarify, this doesn't mean I'm possessed, right? I'm not going to start speaking in strange languages or glowing. Vale looked at him carefully. Not unless you choose to. Later that evening, he sat in his quarters, staring out at the hovering spires. The Queen had not called for him again. Not since the hall. But he could feel something shifting, like the planet was breathing around him, and occasionally whispering in his ear. He sighed. He sipped his tea, which tasted like cinnamon made a deal with lightning. He leaned back. Note to self, he muttered. Next time you volunteer to save kids from a reactor meltdown, ask first if their aunt is space royalty. The bed rustled behind him. Would you like a neural massage now? Only if it comes with sarcasm settings. Processing, said the bed. Error. Sarcasm module not installed. Then how will you understand me? Silence. Then very faintly, I will learn. Marcus Wren was trying very hard not to get stabbed during a diplomatic dinner. This was harder than it sounded. Partially because the fork had 3 more prongs than he was used to. and partially because his chair had a built-in scanner whispering urgent warnings about hostile brain chemicals from the ambassador 2 chairs down. "Reminder," buzzed the chair in his earpiece. "Thelerai Ambassador Cathal shows increased gland activity when preparing for confrontation. I show increased gland activity when someone threatens me with pickled organ jelly," Marcus muttered. Across the table, Cathal raised an eyebrow and pushed a bowl of wiggling clear cubes in Marcus's direction. "It is a gesture of trust," Cathal said in a tone like someone offering a poisonous spider as a friendship bracelet. Marcus smiled. "On Earth, we exchange cookies. Slightly less wiggly. Usually." The Queen hadn't arrived yet. That was normal. Apparently, royalty showed up late as a symbol of control over time, space, and the emotional well-being of their advisors. Minister Vale sat on Marcus's right, whispering helpful translations and occasionally poking him in the ribs when he almost committed cultural crime with his napkin. "You folded it wrong," she hissed. "It's a napkin," Marcus whispered back, "not a sacred scroll. To some, there is no difference." The diplomatic dinner was held in a rotating chamber high atop the royal spire. It was designed to shift gravitational directions every 15 minutes to enhance brain receptivity to shared experience. Marcus called it spinny court roulette. So far he'd nearly dropped his fork 3 times and accidentally toasted the high priest of memory archives by lifting his glass during a gravity flip. The moment the Queen finally arrived, all ears in the room straightened. Literally, it was the weirdest show of respect he'd ever seen. Like an entire room of bio-tuned satellite dishes snapping into alignment. She walked in silently, robes trailing, eyes unreadable. Marcus gave a small nod, resisting the urge to salute or do jazz hands. Varthai took her place at the head of the table and spoke only one word. "Proceed." And the scheming began. It wasn't obvious. There were no evil villain laughs or whispered plots over poison wine. But Marcus had spent enough time among high-ranking humans to recognize the tone of carefully sharpened politeness. Minister Trell asked if Marcus had read the historical ethics codex of the vault yet. Marcus replied, "I've skimmed the beginner's guide to not getting murdered by ancestor spirits. Does that count?" A few ministers blinked in confusion. One chuckled. Vale groaned into her napkin. Ambassador Cathal pressed next, voice smooth as synthetic silk. "Human integration into Thelerai culture has always faced friction. Might your presence destabilize traditions not designed for foreign participation?" Marcus sipped his sparkling root sap. "Well, I destabilized a few cafeteria vending machines on Earth once. Beyond that, I'm mostly just good at plugging things in and not dying during explosions." The Queen said nothing, simply observed. It wasn't approval or disapproval. It was the sort of silence that made Marcus wish he had a translator just for eyebrow micromovements. Then came the memory. Not his. One moment he was chewing a cube of something disturbingly alive. The next he was somewhere else. Cold. Bright. Surrounded by violet dust and voices chanting a name he didn't recognize. The vault. It had reached out again. "Marcus." Vale's voice was faint. "Are you?" He blinked. Reality snapped back into place. His hand was glowing. Just faintly but visibly. The table fell silent. Marcus lowered his hand and coughed. "I think your ancestral data cloud just accidentally called me again." Several ministers stood. Others exchanged glances. Cathal looked like he'd swallowed his own tongue. The Queen finally spoke. "The vault responds." Silence deepened. Then Cathal rose. Slow and deliberate. "With respect, Your Majesty, such a response from an off-worlder violates generational encryption. The vault should not recognize a foreign biosignature unless, Marcus cut in. Unless your ancestors are into breaking their own rules? Or maybe I just have a really agreeable soul. Who knows? Cathal did not laugh. Marcus sighed. Look, I don't want to break your sacred Google Drive. I didn't ask for this, right? I didn't even ask to be here. I saved kids. That's it. That's the whole story. If your mystical memory crystal wants to give me secret VIP access, I'm not going to fight it. But maybe talk to it about security violations. The Queen stood. No fanfare. No announcement. Just a slow, deliberate rise. The vault has chosen, she said. Not by law. Not by tradition. By resonance. Cathal bowed stiffly. Then it is resonance that may destroy us. He left. No explosion. No threats. Just silence. After the dinner ended, Marcus was escorted to his quarters by 2 honor guards who didn't blink for the entire walk. He collapsed onto his bed and groaned. Okay. That could have gone better. Agreed, said the bed. Don't start. A moment passed. Then would you like to hear a riddle? Marcus rolled over. Sure, why not? The bed chimed. What walks on 2 legs in the morning, 3 in the evening, and is being hunted by a royal minister with an agenda? Marcus blinked. Is the answer me? Yes, he groaned. I knew I should have stayed on Earth. No one tries to assassinate you over vending machine heroics. There was a soft sound near the wall. The ventilation duct hissed and something metallic slid across the floor. Marcus rolled out of bed a split second before the dart hit the pillow. The guards didn't move, but his wrist console lit up with an alert. Assassination attempt detected. Probability of further incidents, 92%. Suggest relocation or stronger pillow. He activated the security lockdown inside the room. Right, he muttered. No pudding, no privacy, and now poison darts in my sleep. He looked up at the ceiling. Any other advice? The computer paused. Try not to die. Marcus nodded slowly. Yeah, good talk. Marcus Wren stood in front of the vault. Not a metaphorical one. The actual vault. 30 stories tall. Humming with psychic light. Guarded by floating sentinels that looked like angry chandeliers and whispered in quantum harmonics when bored. It loomed at the edge of the spire like it had always been there and was mildly disappointed in everything. Behind him stood Queen Varthai, flanked by half the royal guard and a dozen ministers who looked like they hadn't slept in a week and blamed him personally. In fairness, some of that was accurate. You're sure about this? He asked. No, the Queen replied. But certainty is for those who wish to remain unchanged. Great, because I packed certainty in my other pants. The vault surface pulsed. Marcus stepped closer. His hand was already glowing again. Brighter now, like a flashlight charged by bad decisions and questionable destiny. The vault spoke. Not in words. In memory. The first time he'd been punched in zero gravity. The smell of earth rain. The moment the reactor blast should have killed him and didn't. The feeling of 3 small alien hands clutching his armor, trusting him without reason. The whisper of the Queen's voice in the garden, asking what Netflix was. The vault opened. A spiral of floating data nodes rose around him. Each one contained records stretching back thousands of years. History, technology, thought. One orb stopped in front of him, projecting a map of a Thelari colony that no longer existed. Another showed a vision of a peace treaty that had never been signed because the ancestors who'd created it feared betrayal. Behind him, chaos was brewing. Minister Cathal had not gone quietly. He stood just beyond the security perimeter with a faction of loyalists, each wearing ceremonial combat armor, none of them smiling. You open that vault fully, Cathal shouted, and you destroy our sovereignty. Our ancestors' will is not yours to command. Marcus looked at him, then at the Queen, then back at the glowing library of ancient secrets floating inches from his face. "I'm not here to command your ancestors," he said. "I'm here because I ducked into the wrong hallway, covered some kids with my jacket, and got lucky. You want to talk destiny? Talk to the vault. I'm just the guy it called." The queen stepped forward. "The vault does not call lightly," she said, "nor does it remain open to those unworthy." Cathal lifted his hand. A signal. From the sky. A sonic boom split the air. Earth ships. Not military. Diplomatic. Heavily armed diplomatic. Human commanders had arrived for negotiations and damage control. They weren't thrilled to find their engineer floating in divine Theleri legacy. A voice crackled through Marcus's comm. "Lieutenant Wren, you are ordered to stand down and return to the ship. You are causing a diplomatic incident." Marcus exhaled. "Tell command I'll be right there. After I finish this minor miracle." He turned to the vault. "Okay, you've been whispering in my brain for days. You've been tossing memories around like popcorn. So here's the deal. If you've got something worth saving, worth sharing, now's the time." The vault responded. A beam of light shot upward, splitting the sky in every direction. The floating sentinels lifted into orbit. Across Valerio, holograms burst from temples, homes, schools, recordings of lost history, proof of dealings with early humans long before official contact. Technology blueprints, peace agreements, cultural bridges that had been buried in fear. The vault didn't just open. It broadcast, across both species. One of the ministers fainted. "Oh," Cathal said. Marcus turned to the queen. "So, still want to marry me? Or is this the part where I get vaporized for trespassing?" She stepped toward him. Not with ceremony. Just stepped. "You have rewritten no law," she said. "You have honored what already lived." Marcus scratched the back of his neck. "So that's a yes?" "Yes." The broadcast reached Earth Command. Within hours, 2 diplomats had resigned. 3 claimed partial credit. And 1 insisted Marcus had been acting under psychic duress. They requested his return. He declined. "Officially," he said into the comm, "tell Earth I'm unavailable. Unofficially, tell them I'm elbow-deep in glowing alien bureaucracy and someone tried to assassinate me with a dessert fork." There was a long pause on the other end. "Understood." 3 days later, the vault quieted. The floating nodes settled. History was no longer lost. It was shared. Marcus sat with the children he'd saved, now slightly less terrified of him. One of them had drawn a crayon version of him with glowing hands and a very large head. "Why is my head so big?" he asked. "You think loud," said the child. "Fair." He found the queen in the crystal gardens that evening. She was speaking to an envoy from a distant moon. She dismissed the envoy and joined him beneath the twin moons. "You seem tired," she said. "I've been declared sacred by accident, threatened by ministers, and psychically adopted by a cosmic hard drive. Tired is the upgrade version of exhausted. You are handling it well." He smiled. "Mostly I'm just pretending I know what I'm doing. That is what all leaders do." They sat in silence for a moment. "So," he said, "what now?" "Now," she said, "you stay. As guardian. As consort. As a bridge." He raised an eyebrow. "You're really okay with me being the face of cultural integration? I'm the guy who once built a coffee maker out of a medical scanner." "Yes," she said simply. "Because you do not seek power. You seek coffee. And occasionally to save children from exploding space stations." Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. "When you put it that way," she almost smiled. "When I put it that way, it sounds absurd. But absurdity has always been part of change." He looked up at the twin moons. The crystal gardens glowed softly around them. Somewhere in the distance, those soprano-screaming creatures were at it again. "I saved 3 kids," he said quietly, "and accidentally became a bridge between 2 worlds. Yes, my mom really is going to lose her mind. Will she approve?" Marcus thought about it. Actually, yeah. She always said I needed more ambition. Queen Varthai stood. She offered him her hand. Not as a queen, just as someone offering a hand. He took it. "Welcome home, Marcus Wren," she said. And for the first time since the explosion, since the evacuation, since the whole insane spiral of events began, Marcus felt like maybe, just maybe, he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Even if it was completely absurd. Especially because it was completely absurd.